comparison of startup speed of Quarkus and SpringBoot. I've got my SpringBoot project here. I've simply got a controller with a RESTful endpoint returning a greeting. Nothing complicated about this service. On the equivalent Quarkus thing, I've got my Quarkus RESTful endpoint. You'll see almost fairly similar coding, and nothing really there which needs to change. So I built this in my AWS, so let me just log in to my AWS and show you. And we will go into projects, SpringBoot Quarkus compare. Here I've got my SpringBoot Hello World, I've got my Quarkus Hello World. I built my Quarkus previously, and I've built Quarkus Java and my Java native. So if we look at the SpringBoot Hello World, my target, I've got my runner here, and in my Quarkus, under my target, I've got the native running here, and under the directory here, I've got the Java original runner that the native was built on. So I'm going to execute all three. And what we're going to do, we'll execute all three with this fire all script. We're going to execute Quarkus, the SpringBoot, Quarkus, and the native runner. All going to be running on my single machine. We're going to start them all at the same time. The JMeter, I've got a JMeter test scenario here. I've got a single threaded user running for each of them. All of the three will be on different ports, and then we're going to see the results in a table, which one is the first success. So we're recording successes and errors, and we will see what happens. So let's first of all kick this off. And we'll see what time it brings. And I'm going to now run fire all. And you can see in the log output, we've got the Quarkus native starting in 21 milliseconds. We've got the Spring, or the Quarkus runner, starting in 3.3 seconds. The Spring starting in 6.9. So if I stop that now, then I can go for view results in the table, and let's just see what time the first success was recorded. So here we got 12:01:54, and if we do a relative comparison to the others, the Quarkus and the JVM, 12:01:45, 9 seconds earlier. Let's look at the native, 12:01:42. Almost 3 seconds earlier, which corresponds to those startup times that you see there. So let's stop that, and let's move on to. So let's have a look at sort of how MongoDB compares. So I've got a MongoDB in a SpringBoot and in a Quarkus. So if I cut MongoDB, I'm going to start my MongoDB pod, and so I've got Podman running that, and that will be ready. So let me log into Quarkus again. Now let's just see this is a SpringBoot app, and I am going to simply run that with look at the startup time. This is with SpringBoot. And we're connecting to the MongoDB. Application start time, 7.544 seconds. So let me stop that and let's compare with just SpringBoot with Quarkus. This application has been migrated to Quarkus, and I'm going to run the account service runner jar in this instance. You can see 2.048 seconds. And if I run the native runner, account service runner, again, 210 milliseconds.